My name is Nathan. I'm 17 and I'm a geek. That may or may not be a shocking or controversial statement, but thinking about it, 10 years ago, had you said that in a room full of people like this, you were at Comic-Con. And if you weren't, you'd open the floodgates for a litany of insults and abuse. However, we've moved on a lot since then, and it's almost completely acceptable to be a geek. People, for a while, geek became chic, and people wanted to be part of this society of the strange. You wouldn't be able to walk down the street without seeing someone wearing these glasses, for instance. But when I say geek, you undoubtedly think of someone like this. And that's because that's the stereotype that has existed for years. It's always men or guys with an interest in things like science fiction, comic books, things that were on the fringe of public popularity. But you can be a geek about anything. To be a geek is to be obsessively enthusiastic about something. So you could be a geek about sports, music, television shows, politics. You can be a geek about anything, but you don't have to be a guy to be a geek either. I have a great love of many things, and the things that I'm a geek about are gaming, comic books, and professional wrestling. And in these things, I have always managed to find sexism. This is the dark foe of my geek culture. No matter what, I will always find people making fun or degrading women or using them as a ploy to sell their products. In gaming, there's always been a lot of trolling towards women, and that is the troll face, the somewhat mascot of those who'd like to degrade women online. They do this through derogatory comments, throwaway comments, or even going so far as to attack prominent figures in the gaming world. In 2013, the Gamergate controversy occurred. This was an uprise in the trolling of women involved with video games. There is a long and storied timeline around this incident, but at its essence, this was what it was. It was an uprise against women. Game developers Zoe Quinn and Brianna Wu and cultural feminist critic Anita Sarkeesian, who created the Tropes vs. Women in Video Games video series, bore the brunt of these attacks, as well as many other prominent female gamers and commentators afraid to voice their opinions. These attacks involved threats of violent rape and murder towards these women. Why would people do this? What's the reason behind it? Simply, people were being sexist for sexist sake. However, supporters of Gamergate believed that it was due to ethics in games journalism. No matter where you stand on this side of the debate, the fact is clear. You cannot and should not treat anyone this way, whether they be male or female. Another instance that I have found within gaming is the way in which women are expected to look and dress. If you're a strong-willed warrior woman like the ones you see here, do you really need to do it half naked or in a bra and panties? An armoured version at that. Women are expected to look like this in order to sell the games. But is sex appeal really that important to get people to play? Should it not be the story that we follow? We've moved on a lot since the 1980s, where before the simple plot device of a damsel in distress would be used in order to get people to play. And we've moved on to the point where we have fantastic narratives, and each one has a very strong-willed woman in these games. But why do they have to look like this in order to get us to buy? Something else that I feel is very hurtful towards women in the gaming industry is the idea that you can't be a woman and be a gamer. If you are, you're just a gamer girl. You know nothing about games. You're a casual fan. You're filthy casual. We don't need you. You're a woman. You don't know anything about games. But this isn't the case. Why do we still, in 2015, move people and categorize them based on their interests? Men and women can share interests. We all know that. Also, there's the idea that you can't be a beautiful woman and play games, because if you do, you're just looking for attention. And you spend more time taking photos with your controller than actually using it. Another great love in my life is comic books. This is the written world of heroes and villains. And one of the most powerful heroes that has come along in recent memory, and is a female in my mind, is Thor. Now, some of you may think of Thor as a man, but recently, Thor became a woman. In Jason Aaron's Thor, it was written that Thor had become a woman, and I won't divulge into her secret identity, as it was only revealed a couple of weeks ago. But the idea behind it was, said the author, that this is not She-Thor, this is not Lady Thor, this is Thor. This is the Thor of the Marvel Universe, but it's unlike any Thor you've seen before. You can probably see where this is about to go. Afterwards, there was an uproar from the internet saying Thor can't be a woman. The title character Thor must always be the son of Odin and must be the blonde and toned man that we see on screen as portrayed by Chris Hemsworth in the Avengers. Why? They said it was unrealistic that a woman should hold the power of a god. I'm going to let you all in on a little secret, and it might shock you. Comic books aren't real. If they were real, Richard Branson could be Batman, and the Avengers would have cleared up our problems in the Middle East. Unfortunately, though, comic books aren't real. So why should people complain about a lack of realism? Another issue that has arose in comic books that is similar to gaming is the way in which women are supposed to look. They're all seen the same way. It's used for sex appeal. They will dress in little to nothing, and it's for the sake of getting young boys to buy these comics. Because realistically, who wants to read a comic about a strong-willed woman if she's not wearing nothing? If Superman dressed like his cousin Supergirl, we'd look at him very differently. We'd say, he's not a superhero, look at him. Look at the way he dresses, how can you take him seriously? But if we cry out for realism with the way a superhero should be portrayed, should we not cry out for the same realism in the way they dress? Another area within comic books that has involved sexism is films and TV shows. For years, movie studios had feared to put their title characters as women. But with the recent success of films such as these, there is now much more money to bankroll projects that involve female leads. The heroines of the comic book universe can now be portrayed on screen, and they plan to within the next 4 years with 2 films on the way, as well as a TV series. My final love in life, and possibly my biggest, is professional wrestling. If comic books is the written world of heroes and villains, this is the visual world. Now, when I say wrestler, you probably imagine the likes of Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage. The big, buff, tanned men who fight. Does anyone ever think of the women, though? Within wrestling, there are many women who wrestle, but unfortunately, they're portrayed as eye candy. They're just there for a 10-minute break in the shows. People online call it the bathroom break. Whenever I attend shows personally, the arena empties. People go out to the merchandise stands because there's no crowds and they can get their merchandise quickly and easily. And why was this? Well, simple. You see there, they had a pillow fight match. Wrestling is men and women risking their lives in the name of sports entertainment. And yes, it may be fake, as some people will say, but there's still a hazard to it. But yet these women don't get the same respect. So much so, they've become part of an interchangeable cast of characters on a reality series like the Kardashians. But this is slowly but surely changing, thanks to executive Paul Triple H Levesque. He has started a movement within the developmental system in which these 4 women have become the catalysts for change. The names are Becky, Bailey, Charlotte, and Sasha. And within the last few months, they've been given the opportunity to have matches that will put some of the men's to shame with fantastic stories and athleticism. Recently, Becky, a Dublin native like myself, fought Sasha for the NXT Women's Championship. In doing so, she had done something that most female wrestlers had not been given the opportunity to do. If you're a good guy in wrestling and you lose, you have to get the sympathy of the fans. If not, nobody will tune in to see you beat the bad guy. Becky lost, unfortunately. But when she lost, she had had such an amazing match that she had gained the respect and the sympathy of the fans, that she was given a standing ovation as she lost, as well as having her entrance theme sung to her by the crowd at Full Sail University. With tears in her eyes, Becky knew she had made it, and she had to make the most of an opportunity that so many had been refused. Triple H's vision down at NXT is that women are equal to men. They are given the same amount of time and respect that they should be given. They are a co-main event on the show, and they are given the exact same respect, as I said. And I think that's the way we should view all of geek culture and all of society. Why don't we have gender equality in areas the same as we have it now in professional wrestling? It is my dream that moving forward we can have gender equality in these areas, such as gaming and comic books. Because at the end of the day, we're all geeks about something. Everyone in this room loves something enthusiastically. And that's why I hope that we stop disrespecting women just for the sake of it, or geeks become territorial about what they love, that we open it up to everyone, and that we all share the same things. Thank you all.